Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters, and Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small, and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Everyone, and welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw, and I have a question for you, Eric.
Oh, don't say it. Don't.
Do you float too, Eric?
Oh, God, no. Well, yeah, I float. I am a buoyant human.
We all float down here, Georgie.
Oh, I don't like it. No, stop.
That to be fair, that's not Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. That is Tim Curry as Pennywise.
That's a Tim Curry Pennywise. Wise Penny.
So it's been a couple weeks since we've done a Kulturecast. I was sick for a week, and it was awful. I literally lost my voice, which means, no podcasts. I don't know if that's a surprising fact or not, but podcasters can't do podcasts without their voice. My wife was happy, though, because I didn't get to talk very much, so that was good. Got him. Self-deprecating humor, everybody. However, we're back at it again, and we're going to be talking about, I would say, one of the more hotly anticipated films of the year.
Yeah, definitely one of the biggest, hyped movies, in a while.
Yeah, and that film is It. The IMDb synopsis for the film is, a group of bullied kids band together when a monster, taking the appearance of a clown, begins hunting children.
When you're a kid, you think the universe revolves around you. You think that you'll always be protected and cared for. Then, one day, you realize that's not true. Because when you're alone as a kid, the monsters see you as weaker. You don't even know they're getting closer. Till it's too late.
My grandfather thinks this town is cursed. That all the bad things that happen in this town are because of one thing. An evil thing.
Bill, if you will come with me, you'll float too.
Georgie. saw something.
The clown. Yeah, I saw him too. Misfit too.
What happens when another Georgie goes missing? Or one of us?
Misfit too.
Are you just gonna pretend it isn't happening like everyone else in this town? If we stick together, we'll win.
Let's get right into it. You and I had both seen the original miniseries. Had you read the novel before?
Yeah, I read the novel probably about 10 years ago.
Okay, cool. So, with all that in mind, since I haven't read the book, primarily because I haven't gotten around to reading a 1,200-page book about a fucking clown that haunts little kids.
Yeah, it's a pretty long, pretty fucked up book.
What do you think of Andy Muschietti's kind of take on it?
Andy Muschietti. I like Andy Muschietti definitely better than Muschietti.
I don't know how to say his name, so I'm just going to call him Andy the Muschietti.
Machete.
Because he's tearing up the box office with it.
Oh, God damn it. I hate you a lot. No, man, I loved it. I thought it was great. It was definitely, I definitely went into this movie as blind as I could. You know, like growing up watching the, made for TV miniseries or whatever. And then, having read the book like a long time ago or whatever, I definitely had my own ideas. Like, I feel like, a lot of people did of what the movie was going to be about or what they wanted the movie, not like be about like content wise, but like, how they wanted, this adaptation to go. And so I don't know. I went into this movie relatively blind. I didn't want really anything. How do I even say this? I just wanted as little bias going into this movie as humanly possible. So like I haven't watched the made for TV miniseries in a really long time. And I didn't reread the book before this. And I thought about doing all those things. And I'm really glad that I didn't, because I came into this movie like sort of fresh and with as little bias as I could possibly do it. And I really, really like this movie a lot. So much so that I feel like this is like it's definitely a multiple watch movie for me. I'll probably go see it again in the theater in like a couple of days. Like I walked out of this movie going, I need to see that again, like, that night.
I'll say this, having rewatched the original earlier this week, man, I liked it, but I have problems with the script because it felt like there was a lot of stuff left on the cutting room floor. There was stuff that could have...
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Been taken out and replaced with other stuff that would have streamlined the feel of the movie and not made it feel like we don't really get a whole lot of time with some of the characters.
Yeah, that was my one issue, like my one main issue with the movie too, is that your time with each of the, members of the Losers Club feels lopsided. Like you definitely get more time with some of the kids than you do with others. And the movie doesn't necessarily feel rushed. I mean, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. But I felt like the movie moves along at such a brisk pace that the movie could have been 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I wouldn't even noticed, and I would have actually been okay with it, just to get a little bit more character development.
That's the problem with this film, is that there's just not enough character development for like 2/3 of the Losers Club.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that way in the original miniseries. I mean, the original miniseries has its problems, but the original miniseries also, I mean, it does more to... to flesh out some of the characters than this one does.
And we sort of talked about this on the phone too. I think a lot of this is going to come down to what happens with part 2. Like, is it going to be, because obviously they're gonna have like flashbacks and stuff in part 2. I don't know. I think character development wise, whatever happens in chapter 2 is gonna be a big deal. It could make or break the problems that we have with this movie already. If, the character development in chapter 2 is better, then some of the sins of the first movie could be forgiven, probably. And
well, yeah, I mean, that's the issue here with a film like this, right? Is that inherently the way that this story is told is it's split up into 2 parts. And if you're not familiar with the It storyline, the way that the story works is that there's a lot of story that takes place with the young kids, and then they come back 27 years later to fight It again. So this is only one half of the story. This is chapter 1. And look, the film has made so much money already that there's no way that the second part doesn't get made at this point. Obviously, it's already been greenlit, but I mean, the film opened to $117 million. Like, horror films don't do that.
Yeah, that's right? Absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
Like,
most horror films don't do that. So this, this film is insane, money making wise. So there's no way it doesn't get made. But yeah, the issue is we won't really know how to fully react to this film until the second part comes out.
Yeah.
Because it may kind of destroy all the goodwill from this film. I would hope not. But at the same time, the casting could really kind of throw a wrench into the way these characters were kind of built in this film.
Yeah, because, I mean, the casting of this movie is so freaking good. And the kids in this movie, they carry it, they do such a good job. It's crazy how good they all were and how good they all were together. Is pretty great.
Yeah, it's a well cast film. All of the kids together all have a believable chemistry, and you believe that they're actually they're a believable group of friends. Obviously, the main character in the film is Bill, played by Jaden Leberher, and he has to deal with the stuttering, the stuttering aspect of that character, and he does a really good job of doing that. He's a really talented young actor. And so, it's just, I worry about what happens with the next film, because the next film may not be as successful with the characters as this one. I mean, all the kids are well cast, even if they do kind of fall short when it comes to characterizing, say, like Mike or, Stan. Some of the other characters just don't get any time whatsoever.
Yeah, Mike and Stanley definitely get, the least amount of time. And those characters are really important to the story. So I hope that this is a situation where they filmed a lot of stuff and then they had to cut it out for time, or something like that. Like, they were going, guys, we can't have a almost 3-hour, horror movie. Like, that's absolutely retarded. And then they had to cut out a bunch of stuff and sort of streamline it. But I don't know. I felt like I needed, some more character development, especially from those two, because of, what happens to them later on, what happens to them as adults, which, I mean, I don't know if we want to get into the shit that's going to happen next or whatever. It's not really a spoiler or anything. Come on, the book's been out for fucking, 30 years, almost 30 years.
Yeah, 30. I think it's 30 years now.
Yeah. So
the issue that I have with this film is that we're maybe in the second part of the series, there's going to be more, investment in some of these characters. But it seems to me that there are 3 main characters in this film: Ben, Bill, and Beverly, and everyone else is kind of played for laughs, aka Richie, which is fine. I mean, he's one of the best parts of the film, but we don't get a lot of characterization for him as a character.
Yeah, Richie is really totally comic relief, and you don't see a whole lot of other sides to his character. His character is very one-dimensional. You get to see a little bit more character development from somebody like oh God, what the fuck is his name? The kid who's a hypochondriac.
Eddie.
Yeah. Eddie is sort of the same way. Like, Eddie is sort of like comic relief for a lot of the movie, but because of like the stuff between him and his mom and things like that, you get to see a little bit more character development that you just don't get from, you know, somebody like Richie. And you get almost zero character development from like Stanley. Stanley is a very one note, just kind of like sourpuss, whatever. Like, and after all the shit that he goes through in the movie, you would think that.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror. We'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Are you a film fan who loves the ultimate home video experience? Look no further than The Disconnected. Your host, Ryan Verrill, is your go-to source for the latest and most accurate information on home video releases, exclusive interviews with industry insiders and filmmakers, and has established a thriving community where every film and physical media enthusiast feels welcome. From hidden gems to blockbuster hits, The Disconnected brings you insider knowledge and a welcoming space to share your love of cinema. Watch every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific for the live announcements show, and follow The Disconnected on social media to stay updated. Subscribe to The Disconnected on YouTube or on the podcast provider of your choice, and dive into a world where every movie night is an adventure.
Like, they would have spent a little bit more time sort of like explaining how this kind of affects him because of what happens when he's an adult. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm assuming that there's going to be flashbacks in the next movie where they talk more about like shit that happened when they were kids. And we get to see maybe hopefully a little bit more character development that we didn't get to see in this movie.
Well, and some of the early information coming out of the next film, you know, the next film is that, yes, there will be some flashbacks.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, as it stands right now, I think this movie is a great standalone movie, but it is totally, you know, half of a whole. And I think depending on what happens with the other half of this story, is really going to affect how people are perceiving, you know, the first half.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, let's be honest here. The other issue with this film is it doesn't feel like a whole film. It really does. It really does feel like part of a whole, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The story feels like very incomplete.
And obviously, I mean, it's going to. I mean, there's nothing you can say about that because it is half of the story. And I think it was smart to do it as half of the story.
Yeah, that's the way that I would do it.
Yeah, it gives them more time. I mean, obviously the original did it that way, but the original, it was a little bit of a different situation since it was a TV miniseries. But I feel like it does a good job of giving us a reason for it to be two parts, because it tells almost the exact same story as the original. I mean, it is the exact same story, but I feel like it does a better job of telling the story. Yeah,
it definitely, like, it's the way that it tells the story is a lot more cohesive and seems a lot more, a lot more figured out.
It's a more thought out and well-written script, let's put it that way, for sure. They definitely have a better kind of eye for telling the story in this film than they did in the original adaptation.
Yeah, in 1990 or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll actually talk about similarities between the two.
Who is Carl Kolchak?
He's a reporter.
Now that is news, Vincenzo. News! And we are a newspaper. We are supposed to print news, not suppress it.
With the INS.
What's an INS?
Independent News Service, sir. Founded in 1904 by Enrico Paluzzi.
Who seems to have a nose for the strange and unusual.
Well, last year in Las Vegas, I uncovered a series of murders that turned out to have been committed by a vampire.
And what is the Kolchak Tapes?
It's a podcast.
All about Carl Kolchak.
What's a Kolchak?
The Night Stalker.
And where can you get it?
On iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at www.kolchaktapes.com.
As foolish a game as any that Gory the Ghoul could make up.
Movies have become a portal to a vast and growing pop culture universe, but you don't need to go over the rainbow to get your pop culture fix. Just head to Rainbow Comics, Cards, and Collectibles. They are your one-stop shop for comics, toys, posters, games, and more. Not a pop culture nerd? No problem. They have something for everyone, including a wide array of sports cards, collectible card games, even memorabilia. Stop by one of their 2 locations today. The flagship location at 3310 South Minnesota Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or their newest location at 1501 Pine Lake Road, Suite 17, Lincoln, Nebraska. Most importantly, don't forget to add them on Facebook for pop culture news, weekly live videos, and special events.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
Week after week, I'm mesmerized by the focus given great films and questionable films alike. But every episode is a learning and entertaining experience.
This is hands down the best movie podcast. They cover so many different genres across so many years, from obscure movies to blockbusters.
If there's only one podcast about movies and cinema that you listen to, make it this one.
The Projection Booth podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
All right, we're back and we're still talking about it. So let's talk about some of the differences and similarities between the original miniseries and this readaptation. I mean, almost, there's a lot of stuff that's really similar. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's like pretty much the same, but I actually like the kids, like the scenes where they meet Pennywise in this film, because that's kind of like the crux of this film, right? And the crux of the original is that, you know, each character has to meet Pennywise in their own way, and then they all come together and say, well, hey, we finally figured out, like, we're all seeing the same thing. I think they work better in this film because in the original, it's just like, oh, in this one, here's how we met this one, and here's how we met, and it's like, and it's just like, it's kind of just like exposition dumped. In this film, it feels a little bit more fluid and organic. In the original, it was kind of just like, oh, and here are all these flashbacks.
Yeah, exactly. It's obviously going to have a shit ton in common with the like mini-series version because it's telling the same story. It's not like, you know, they're gonna all of a sudden have some like, you know, different, like crazy new take on something that's just
and there is
mind-blowing.
There's some stuff that's different, and I think it works better. Like Mike's scene with it, I think makes more sense if you know the backstory of his character, even though if the character of Mike is essentially like exposition dump the character in parts of the film, which is kind of a bummer. They do a better job in this film of giving an it that makes sense to be appearing in these kids' lives in a way that it does, and it also seems more random than in the original. I mean, he's just kind of like out. I mean, like in the original, it's always kind of like, I don't know. In the original, you can always kind of like, oh, and here comes it. In this one, it's like literally like he'll be like walking down the street and something will happen. So it seems more integrated into the community in this film than in the original.
Like the town of Derry seems like a lot more like a character in this movie, you know, than it did in the original miniseries. And that's like a big thing. Like the town is a huge part of, you know, it and like a lot of Stephen King's work. You know, everything that he's written pretty much takes place in this manufactured town of Derry where like it's just evil shit is just there constantly or whatever. And so like you have this town, which is basically another character, and they really get that point across in this movie way more than they do like in the original miniseries. And I really, really appreciated that, you know, like as these kids are going, you know, through and like dealing with all this stuff, you really get the sense that they're on their own, you know, like every time there's like an adult in some kid's life, like they are not helping. They are, you know, whether it's like directly not helping or like directly being the cause of like, you know, some of these kids like strife, like Bev's dad or Eddie's mom or whatever. Like even you know, there's that scene where where Ben's getting, fucked up by those bullies, and that that couple like drives by and like they just don't do shit, and then there's that fucking balloon or whatever in the goddamn back seat or whatever. And so it's like one of those things where I don't know, the town in this movie and the other people in the town made me really uneasy, which the first, the miniseries or whatever just like didn't bother to do.
Well, they mention it in the miniseries a little bit, but they never really go in depth about how the town is like, they talk a little bit about like, oh, there must be something wrong with the town. Everyone in the town kind of turns a blind eye to it. And they kind of draw the conclusion that must have something to do with it and its powers and like the way that it can just like make everybody like the town is kind of in its own bubble, because you find that out later in the miniseries. Like as soon as they leave the town, like they all forget.
Yeah.
Like, they forget that any of this even happened and they forget about each other.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't know. I'm interested to see how they sort of deal with that aspect of the story going forward too. Is like, how do they deal with, what happens to these kids, in 30 years when they're 40 or whatever. So, if they're already having a hard time with all of this shit, like, I don't know, It's not going to get any easier. I mean, I don't know. That was the thing that I thought was the weakest portion of the original miniseries, was them when they're adults. And so,
well, and that has to do primarily with how that part climaxes, which is just like complete garbage of the highest order. So the next film doesn't have a very high bar to cross to be better than the original's adult portion of this story.
But it has set itself a very high bar with this movie.
Right. Agreed.
So even though, like, they could basically, fart into the camera lens and it would be better than the adult portion of the miniseries, they're going to have to work pretty fucking hard to make it as good as this movie and to really effectively interlace the two movies. And that's because this movie is just dealing with them as kids, and there's no, like, they didn't do a flash forward in this movie, and they didn't really talk about anything that's like happening in the future. Like they definitely set it up, and did the whole in 30 years or whatever, like if this thing comes back, we're going to fucking come back and we're going to fuck it up. But yeah, I don't know. The next movie is going to have a harder time, and it has a lot of shit that like it has to kind of go through, like it has the job of interlacing the, two halves to make it seem more like a whole. And then, they still haven't even touched on, what Pennywise like actually is. And I'm interested to see how they do that, how they go through.
The fantastical aspects of the character and the story were not really touched on.
Yeah, no, like all the like really weird sci-fi shit that's like, that most people are like, oh, it's Pennywise the clown. Well, like, it's not exactly true. Pennywise is not really a clown, so I don't know, it's interesting.
Pennywise is a female giant intergalactic spider. I'm sorry to tell you.
It's true.
Yeah. So speaking of Pennywise the clown, you'll notice we haven't talked about Bill Skarsgård at all.
Oh my God.
I think it's time that we talk a little bit about Bill Skarsgård. What did you think of his version of Pennywise versus kind of the best part of the original miniseries, Tim Curry as Pennywise?
Oh my God, I thought he was great. I love that he didn't do like a Tim Curry ripoff, and he like did his own fucking, he did his own Pennywise that's like way different and way weird, and is just great. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked on his Pennywise. I thought he did a great job. I don't know. What do you think? It's like so different and so weird and like so, I don't know. It's a lot more sinister than, like the Tim Curry one. Like the Tim Curry one is like this super, like characterized, like over the top, like hamming it up. It's like a caricature almost. And then Bill Skarsgård's was like a lot more subtle and just a lot creepier and a lot scarier, I thought.
Yeah, no, Bill Skarsgård's...
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Take on Pennywise works in the tone of this film. I don't think Tim Curry's Pennywise would have worked in kind of the tone that this film is going for. I mean, that's the other thing about this film that really works with this film versus the original. This film is rated R.
Oh my God, yeah. And I mean, do you forget that the original miniseries was like on NBC or like CBS or like, you know, it was on like a regular cable network. Like you couldn't cuss, like there was very little like actual gore, and like violence and stuff. So it's like one of those things where, you know, their version of, you know, it was like a very neutered, watered down version.
Well, and they did the best that they could with what they had. But, I mean, in this film, you have the R rating, which means, you know, the first scene with Georgie and Pennywise is very different, let's put it that way, than the original.
It's actually really not that different. It just
you know what I mean when I say different.
It just ends very differently.
Yeah, Georgie's arm gets bitten off. You don't see that in the original.
Yeah, they like cut it out like right before that happens or whatever. In the original, they like show Pennywise like about to bite him or whatever with his big ass teeth, and then they are like, oh, okay, we're gonna cut to the next sequence or whatever, and Georgie's just missing. Like in this one, it gets very violent and very gory and like really messed up very quickly. Like he gets his arm bitten off and then he gets dragged out of the street and like fully just eaten by Pennywise, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot different than the original, and obviously it had to be. I mean, and I'm glad that the film didn't like shy away from violence, because the violence towards the kids in this film is needed, because it has to show that Pennywise the clown is this kind of scary, terrifying being that is existing to wreak havoc on these kids of this town. And so I think it works really well. I don't know if I like Bill Skarsgård. Honestly, I don't feel like there's enough of him.
Yeah, there's
he's not him doing the Pennywise thing. I'm not talking about just like him like running around scaring the kids. There's a lot of that, but there's not enough of him like actually interacting with the kids. Like talking to them and stuff, and like taunting them. Most of Bill Skarsgård's performance in this film is a nonverbal performance, which I think is more impressive from a technical aspect, that he's able to get so much terror out of a nonverbal performance. But, I mean, you have to agree with me that he has maybe a handful of lines in the film. And he says most of them, like, in that first scene with Georgie. You know?
Yeah. It's, that's like his most, like, Pennywise sequence, I guess you could say, is that sequence like that happens at the beginning of the movie. And the rest of it is, yeah, you're right. A lot of it's a non-verbal, you know, just like him being fucking really creepy. But I don't know, for this movie, it really, really works. So we'll see, like, going forward, how his character sort of operates, in the next movie or whatever.
Right, and again, for me, that's kind of my other issue with this film is this film's not really scary because Pennywise, I know you and I have talked about like, ruining something's backstory makes it less scary. Giving Pennywise a chance to really like taunt these kids and like be aggressive verbally with them, I think would have made him a little scarier as opposed to him just going rah and like chasing after them, because like that's most of Bill Skarsgård's performance is just like sticking his arms out and running at the camera. Like really, that's a lot of his performance.
Yeah.
And I feel like they kind of missed the boat because one of the things that made Tim Curry's portrayal of Pennywise so great was that they gave him time, and even though he was hamming it up, they gave him time to really like taunt the kids and be menacing towards the kids. In this film, there's none of that really. I mean, there is, but it's done differently, and I think it's done in a way that's not nearly as effective.
I mean, I think it's effective in different ways than Tim Curry's. Like, you're right. Tim Curry's was a much more like taunting, he's, as much as he's like hamming it up and shit, like, you're right. He's not like he like directly threatens the kids, but like in this sort of like weird, not 100% like threatening kind of way. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. It's more taunting than in this movie. Like this movie, it's really like menacing and not, I don't know. Yeah. There's no like, it seems, how do I put this? It seems like he's not doing it for fun. Like in the original one, it totally seemed like Tim Curry was doing it for fun, like he was fucking with these kids because it was fun for him or whatever.
He was toying with them.
Right.
Like he took like that Tim Curry's Pennywise took pleasure in toying with and taunting the kids in the original. And I miss that.
Yeah.
I really miss that.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see that like being a missed opportunity. I don't know if it's like really a missed opportunity though, as much as it's just like they just decided to do it differently, So
look, in this day and age, people don't want that kind of horror anyways. They want this kind of horror. They want jump scares and stuff like that. They don't want a villain that does what that Pennywise did. And again, that's the best part of that It adaptation is Tim Curry as Pennywise.
Yeah.
Doing his like taunting clown shtick.
Yeah. Yeah. Arguably, it's like one of the only good parts in it. I mean, the kids are good in it, to an extent or whatever. But the fact that that miniseries is so neutered, like really takes away from, what it could have done with the source material, which is like even more violent than what this movie did, which, is it's saying a lot. This movie is hella violent.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, this film has that R rating to play with as opposed to the original, which doesn't have the R rating.
Yeah.
So this film does a lot more horror stuff. It has gore, it has F-bombs. I mean, they say fuck all the time. There's a lot of gore in this film. The violence is there in this film.
Yeah.
So, that all of that is refreshing versus the original, but honestly, like, I honestly prefer the original Pennywise still over the new one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is why I didn't want to watch the miniseries before going into this movie, because I saw the miniseries at like a really young age, that performance, Tim Curry's performance, has really stayed with me for forever. It's like, one of those things that's like...
holds up. It still holds up.
It does. It's the only part of that movie that holds up still is his performance. I want to try as hard as I can to really not, I don't know, compare Bill Skarsgård and Tim Curry, because you can't.
Right. They're both doing different things. Yeah. Again, Bill Skarsgård has maybe 20 lines in this film. He really doesn't say a whole lot.
So I'm hoping that in the next movie that he says a whole lot more, that his, I don't know, that you get to really sort of dive into like his backstory a little bit. Because he does have a really cool, weird, backstory. Like,
right. And it's fantastical. It's crazy stuff. I mean, it's stuff that they didn't touch on in this one. They touched on it a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
They did, because they have the deadlights. They do have the deadlights.
Yeah. But I mean, for people who don't know what that is, they just go like, what? That shit's creepy. And I'm like, yeah, that shit's creepy. And it means something. It's like, and that to me is the coolest part of what it is. And they really didn't like touch on that really at all in the miniseries. And I think that's like a huge missed step. So we'll see, sort of like going forward, how much they want to play into the sort of fantastical, backstory and like origins of Pennywise. Which I hope that they do, because I think that stuff is like super interesting and really cool. And I think that, I don't know, it's in the fucking book. Like, put it in the goddamn movie, dude. So yeah, I don't know. Bill Skarsgård's performance, I thought was great.
It works for this film.
Yeah, it's definitely a Pennywise for like it's definitely like a modern take on a Pennywise. Like it's definitely a lot less hammed up. It's a lot less over the top, and it's a lot more subtle.
Well, let's be honest here. The 1990 adaptation, it leans on Tim Curry's performance a lot.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes it so good, is that it leans on his performance, and his performance delivers. This film doesn't lean on Bill Skarsgård as much. It leans on the kid actors.
Yeah, it leans on the kids. So
it's kind of the flip of the original.
Yeah, exactly. And the kids do such a good job that, we're complaining that we didn't get to see enough Pennywise because they focus so hard on the kids. But the kids are really the main characters of this story, which is, I think, it's weird. Every time I see a movie, like this movie for being over 2 hours long, like didn't feel like it was over 2 hours. I was like, I walked out of the movie going like, that was pretty short. And then I looked at the time and I was like, holy shit, that was over 2 hours. And I still felt like it was too short. Like they could have gone into more detail. Like we could have had more stuff. We already talked about like they could have gone into more detail with some of the kids. They could have gone into more detail with Pennywise. Like I really want there to be like some sort of like director's cut of this movie that's like 3 hours long, so that like I can watch that. I don't think there's going to be, honestly, because I don't know. I just don't think it's that kind of a movie. I don't think they're going to release some director's cut, that's fucking really long or whatever, but it would be cool because, that's the kind of shit that like, this is for a lot of people going to see this movie who have, think about how many people, there's now an entire, new generation of people who went and saw this movie that have never seen, the original miniseries and have never read the book and like don't know anything about the source material. And they just went and saw it because it looked like a scary horror movie with a really fucked up clown in it. And so like they don't know the backstory of any of these people. They don't know, like they're not going to be affected by, whether or not it stayed true to the source material or if it had, hit on certain points, that we think that maybe it should have. Like, we're getting like fucking hella nitpicky about like, oh, we didn't get enough backstory on Pennywise or whatever. When in reality, for Pennywise to be effective, you don't need any backstory. He's already terrifying. He's not gonna be, I think that he gets more terrifying if you know exactly, sort of like what he is and where it comes from and why it's doing this. And you get like a really small taste of that in this movie. Like obviously he's like eating the kids and he needs them to be afraid of him because he feeds really off of their fear more than anything else. We keep talking about, how the next movie is really gonna, be important to how good this movie was. And I literally cannot stress that enough. I think that, once the next movie comes out, it's really gonna make a difference as to like what my feelings are on this movie.
Yeah. I'm curious, if you could cast the three main characters from this film, Ben, Beverly, and Bill, who would you cast for their adult actors?
Oh, dude, I don't even know. I don't know. Who would I cast?
I think Beverly would have to be Jessica Chastain, because Andy Muschietti has worked with her so many times that I think he could
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the three hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they released. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster. You know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Probably draw her into this film pretty easily after the hype and the success that this film had.
Yeah.
The question is, like, how big of names do they get now, right?
I would almost prefer that they didn't get, like, big name people, you know?
I think there's no way that they don't.
I know, which I think might be a problem, you know? Like, you know, if they start throwing around names like we have to get Jessica Chastain, we have to get fucking, you know, Chris Pratt in this fucking movie or some stupid shit, you know, it's gonna be...
Chris Pratt as Ben, dude.
Yeah. Because I saw something that was like, oh, James, what's his name? That, like the late night host guy, Harden?
James Corden.
James Harden, I'm thinking of the basketball player. Yes, people are like, oh, James Corden should play Ben. And I'm like, in the book, he's not fat when he's an adult. He's now not fat anymore.
So good job not knowing how the series works.
Yeah, good job not knowing your source material. And like people, it's just like nobody knows the source material and nobody gives a shit, which, like, to be fair, you don't have to, like, to enjoy this movie. So I don't, you know, whatever, cast whoever the fuck you want, but just not James Corden, because I'm just like, you know what? First of all, he's British. I don't even know if he could do an American accent. He probably can, but like, come on, dudes. I want to get no-name people. That's why. Like, I don't want to see you know, big crazy ensemble cast of like all these actors that everybody knows or whatever.
I mean, that's what I think you're gonna get, though.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do what Star Wars did, man. Get like a crew of like new actors with like some. I think you get like the main kids. I mean, I don't know. My
main issue is make sure you cast people that look old like adults.
Yeah. You got to get people who are 40. You got to get people who can play 40. If you
don't get Chris Pratt because he doesn't look believably 40 anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You'd have to get some people who you can make 40. And if they get people who look too young or whatever, then it's going to be weird. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, the kids are what? They're like 13, 14 in this movie. So yeah, you'd have to have people in their, you know, early 40s or whatever for the next one, and I don't know. I mean, who would you even cast? I don't even know.
I mean, I feel like you could do Tobey Maguire as Bill. That would be kind of believable.
No.
Yeah.
No. Anybody but Tobey Maguire.
Get that stuttering down?
I'd rather have Eric Foreman.
I don't think you give Tobey Maguire enough credit.
I don't need to give him any credit. He's the worst Spider-Man.
That's a lie. Andrew Garfield is the worst Spider-Man. You know that.
I disagree. I think Tobey Maguire is the worst Spider-Man.
Your opinion is wrong.
Well,
opinions can't be wrong, but somehow yours managed to be. So there you go.
Yeah.
What would you give it out of 5?
What would I give it out of 5? I'm going to give it a solid 4.5. There were some things that irked me about this movie, like that we didn't get enough time with some of the other characters. It really, like, they whittled it down to like, here's your 3 main characters, like everybody else is sort of like tangential, and I'm just like, that's not how this works. They're all important to the story. Like, come on. So, I don't know. I hope that they fix some of those issues in the next movie. But I mean, it was effective as like a horror movie. I was thoroughly creeped out by it. It was a fun movie experience. Like, I was laughing like through a lot of the fucking movie, and it was scary, and it was fucking bloody as hell. And yeah, it was just fun. And like I said, the second I walked out of that movie, I was like, I gotta go see it again. So it definitely worked.
Yeah, I would give it like a 3.5 out of 5. Again, I wasn't as high on Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise as you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of where it goes down a little bit between the two of us.
Yeah. I think, like, God, there's like a couple of points in the movie, like, where his eyes are, like, they sort of focus in on his face. and his eyes are like pointing in different directions, and then they'll like slide back into place or like slide out of focus or something like that, and shit like that. I was like, oh fuck. And that's him actually doing that. Like, that's not CGI. I was like, holy shit, you gotta get that shit fixed, Bill.
What do you think the film has on Rotten Tomatoes?
Oh, I'm sure it's pretty high. I would say in the high 80s or low 90s.
87%. Well acted and fiendishly frightening with an emotionally affecting story at its core. It amplifies the horror in Stephen King's classic story without losing touch with its heart.
There you go. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a very scary movie. Really, it's not very scary.
I mean, I don't know. It's not the kind of movie that's like, there are movies to me because, I mean, you and I are both like, you know, rabid horror movie fanatics. So
right.
Like, what scares us is going to be very different than what scares the general population. This movie isn't one of those like, it's going to ruin my day movies because like I'm so fucked up and distraught after watching it. But it was like effectively creepy and like had some good jump scares that I was like, you know, full on surprised by.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I just don't think it's a very scary movie in general.
Yeah, I mean, the movies that scare me are usually not the movies with, you know, killer clowns or whatever from, you know, other dimensions and shit like that.
Or outer space.
Yeah, that movie actually terrifies me. So
wrap him in that cotton candy, bro.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff that scares me is look a little bit more on the realistic end of the spectrum, where it's like, oh fuck, this is really fucked up, and this shit actually happens in real life. This is really not fun. But I don't know. I had a lot of fun in this movie, so I actually can't wait to go see it again. I may do it tonight, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Well, we're gonna take another break and play a preview for next week's show.
It's impossible, it's not natural, and I'm not interested.
I took you for a scientist.
I am a scientist.
Yeah? Well, where's your vision? Opportunity's knocking here.
You're just trying to manipulate me.
Yes, I am. So what? We're on the verge of something fantastic, and I need you to carry it through with me.
What's going on?
Can you keep an open mind? I mean, really wide open?
Let's put a bun in your oven.
I must be crazy to be doing this.
You may be crazy, but you're also pregnant.
I'm pregnant. I just can't keep anything down.
It's morning sickness. It'll pass. Eat crackers.
Alex is sweating like a racehorse.
What's going on?
Everything's perfectly normal, except for the fact that the mom is also the dad.
Yoo-hoo!
You look so beautiful tonight.
You look sort of glowing.
Yes, you do. You look positively lit up. What's the good news?
No good news. If this gets out, your life is over.
My nipples are very sensitive.
What?
Does my body disgust you?
No.
You're kissing? Wait a minute, with Alex, you're in no condition to start a relationship.
I want you to know everything about me. I'm pregnant.
From Universal Pictures and Ivan Reitman comes Something Inconceivable.
Oh my God.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Feel how soft my skin is.
That's it.
Danny DeVito.
Guys do not have babies. We leave that to the women. That's part of the beauty of being a guy.
And Emma Thompson.
You think men don't hold enough cards? You have to take this away from us as well.
I would love, protect, and nurture that milk with everything I've got in me.
Stop it.
No, I don't stop it. I want my babies.
Junior.
Is this your first?
Yes.
This year, Labor Day is November 23rd.
But I have nothing to wear.
That's right. We'll be back next week with a discussion of Junior, otherwise known as the film that killed Arnold's comedic career.
I don't know. I think it made it. I think it peaked, and that's why it stopped after that.
You're a fucking monster. Eric, what have you been up to since we last spoke?
Just working, writing music, got new music in the works. We're going on tour next week. Oh, God. Holy shit, that's next week. So, yeah, in like a week and a half, Wovoka is going to go on tour. We're going to be on the west coast of the U.S., so if you live in one of those, 7 west coast cities that are really far spread out from each other, we'll probably see you. We're going to go to Canada, which is fun because I've never been there, and it's going to be great. And I'm going to have a blast. We're going to get drunk on Canadian beer, and I'm going to crash on a Canadian couch.
Sounds like you've got it all planned out.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I watched a couple of movies. I finally watched that movie, It Comes at Night, and it's great. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's definitely a downer of a movie. And it definitely ends in like what could possibly be one of the more bleak endings. Not like a Serbian film bleak, but it's definitely like pretty bleak. It's like The Mist bleak.
Well, I may have to check it out then.
Yeah, I watched Wonder Woman again. Wonder Woman's terrible.
Whoa!
Yeah, I watched it again. It's bad. I don't like it.
I told you when it came out. I told you when it came out that you were going to have this exact same reaction.
When it came out, I was like...
The Rogue One reaction, Eric.
Well, yeah, because it was like, when I was in the theater, I was like, this is a cool theater movie. Like, everybody's having fun. This is a good experience. And then I watched it again, like, by myself at my house, and I was like, this movie is not good. I was like, there's a lot of plot holes in this movie, and I think this movie is pretty stupid, actually.
But hey, bro, women.
I mean, women has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Oh, I know, but if you say something bad about it, that's what they're going to say. That's the problem. That's the problem with a film like Wonder Woman. We can't say anything bad about it now, because we'll just, you guys are just misogynists. You don't get it.
I don't care if you're a woman making a movie, if you're a man making a movie. I just want the movie to be good. I don't give a shit who does it. I don't care if it's a fucking, half man, half dog, if Man Bear Pig makes a movie. I don't give a shit. Like, if it's a good movie, I'll be like, dude, good job. If it's a bad movie, I'm like, dude, not good job. I mean,
not good job.
It's a serviceable movie. Like, it's not a terrible movie. It's just nothing new. We've seen this superhero movie like multiple times already, and they just did it. It has all the hallmarks of like your standard everyday superhero movie, like there's a bad guy, but like you're not sure who the bad guy is, and then you're like, oh shit, that guy's not the bad guy, this other guy's the bad guy, and then there's like the comedic relief, and there's like the character arc, and there's the guy who sacrifices himself, and it's I don't know, it's really just like, it's not anything new. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of superhero movies, dude. I'm over it. I don't want to see any more. I need like a solid...
Not any more DC ones, for sure.
Not anymore like anyone. I just want to be done with superhero movies for like a while. And that's like, I'm afraid this is going to happen with Star Wars, that I'm going to be Star Wars out.
Well, you may be.
Oh, God. That's like my biggest fear in life. That and an alien coming out of my chest. What have you been up to?
Nothing. Just getting over sickness.
You got down with the sickness.
I did, and then now I'm up again.
What?
Just been doing doing that, I guess. Whatever. Yeah. Jesus Christ. For me, you can follow me on Twitter at Kulturestash, and you can follow the website at Kultureshocked. Also, head on over to Kultureshocked.com, where you can find out more information about today's episode. You'll also find links to iTunes, where you can rate and review the show, and to Patreon, where you can kick a couple dollars our way. Donors get access to unreleased episodes, DVDs, and a chance to guest co-host a Kulturecast.
What?
Big thanks, as always, to you, Eric, and your band Wavoka for allowing us to use your song Lament off of your album Sorrows.
Hell yeah.
And to my good friend Decipher for allowing us to use his song Two Step.
Posted with the crew. You know how we do, I'm just two-step. Drink in my right hand, phone in my other hand, getting to the money. Oh man, two-step. Posted with the crew. Yeah. You know how we do.
Hey, two-stepping, know what I'm saying? 1, 2, 1, 2. Benjamin, aka the Black T, you know what I'm saying? Catch me with my crew every day. Two-step. Phone in my other hand, like, hello? Oh, get into the money, man. Yeah.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and I, we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Deaf Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production Podcast Network. We hope to see you online.